Hello everyone, this is Genius Yoshi, and today we're finally building the Ariel Who's Its Collector combo deck. So, Ariel, what does she does? Whenever you play an item, you may ready this character with no questing restriction, meaning that it's the only character that can quest multiple times in one turn, making this effect very abusable and degenerate in the right circumstances that we are going to try and generate. So 4 copies of Who's Its Collector is going to open up the ball. So questing for one's not that great, even if you can do it repeatedly, but if you can increase the number of lore that Ariel gets, then you can get pretty degenerate. And there are 2 cards that can do that. First one is Eye of the Fates. Also, it's an item to boot, so Eye of the Fates can increase the lore off of Ariel, or we can play it and unexert Ariel. So it kind of serves dual purpose. It's a little expensive for my taste at 4, but it's just so synergetic that it's an auto-include in the list. Second card that can boost Ariel's questing power is Mulan, the Imperial Soldier. As a 4/5, whenever Mulan takes out an opponent's character, we increase all of our characters' lore by 1, which is pretty powerful and repeatable. If we can unexert Mulan to do multiple combats, then we can reap the benefits of that ability multiple times. How do we do that? Well, main reason why I want to play Ruby is for Mulan and Shield of Virtue. So Shield of Virtue is a 1-costed item, very important, very spammable once we have our combo in place to trigger Ariel's unexertion ability as often as possible during one key turn. Maybe we're not going to be doing these 1-turn win type of situations, but when you quest for 10, 12 in 1 turn with just Ariel, it puts immense pressure on your opponent and can perhaps close out the game if we've already quested for a bunch. So Shield of Virtue as a 1-drop artifact, very good for that. But that's not its only ability. Nothing is not its only ability. Well, of course, you can pay 3 to ready a chosen character. So if you have the ink available after Ariel's done all her questing, you can ready her, and she's immune to challenges, essentially. Your opponent needs a removal spell type of answer to deal with Ariel. You can activate the ability to unexert Mulan, so Mulan can get a second combat in. Maybe adding 1 more lore to Ariel, so Ariel can combo off much harder. So that ability is obviously pretty good. And that ability is also on LeFou. So, even though it's not an item, let's include 4 copies of LeFou into the mix to just protect our Ariel. Protecting the Ariel is quite important if we can do it. If the opponent's playing a ton of removal spells, it's not going to be a solid avenue to victory. But let's continue with the combo-ish potential. So another thing that's really good is these 1-drop items. So we're going to be playing 4 copies of Magic Golden Flower, as well as 4 copies of Scepter of Arendelle. They have abilities, we just don't really plan on using them. Although the Magic Golden Flower always comes in handy, just a little bit of healing on the side, always nice to have. But it's really so that we can play multiple items in 1 turn and go off with Ariel's ability. Now, since we're already playing 12 items, we might as well include the King of Item card draw, Maurice. And Maurice will allow us to play 1 item at a discount, if we need to. But more importantly, draw some cards whenever we play our cheap items, so we can keep on finding the gas to keep the engine going and get our way to victory. Alright, so what do we have so far? Items, unexertion, Ariel, extra questing. I think the core of the combo is pretty solid here. So now we need enablers. And kind of stalling until we get there. We need to live until we have the combo set up. So in terms of enabler, I'm going to be playing a full playset of Grammatala and a full playset of Mickey Mouse Detective because they allow us to ramp. And to establish our combo, we'll need a lot of ink. probably ideally around 8, so we can go either a double aerial turn and then set up for a powerful combo, or go a double Eyes of Fate turn and then we go boom 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 boom, just a bunch of cheap items. So 8's kind of the top end ink that we're aiming for. We don't really want more. Well, more is always better, but we don't want to sacrifice too many cards in order to make that happen. Also, since we're playing combo strategy, we should be including Develop Your Brain. Card selection, very important. And if we can reduce the amount of variance in our deck by playing Develop Your Brain to find our combo pieces faster, we definitely should be doing that. Alright, we have some ramp. We have our combo pieces. What else do we need? Some survivability would be great. We already have 8 2-drops, but we can fit in a couple of Gastons. Gastons are pretty good at just holding opponents off of too aggressively questing, or no, Gaston's great at trading with most of the early game stuff. So we're going to be playing a pair of him. If he doesn't pan out, we can always throw him to the ink pool. And same thing with Big Boy Maui here. A strong rush reckless character that's going to be our beat down bouncer. Well, it doesn't bounce anything, just challenges them to exile, which is pretty good. Again, a 5-costed Inkable is pretty nice. I like playing a couple of Robins, so I'm going to include 2 Robin Hoods for the deck. I don't want too many of those. He's not a centerpiece of the deck, but I like having a chunk of 4 to 6 costed Inkable cards. And since we're playing a lot of cheap things, Robin can allow us to draw that extra card, since it's easy for us to just drop an extra card on the battlefield to cycle it. And as a 4/4 questing for 2, it's a decent card to include. We also need alternate win conditions, and this is where I like Pongo. So, like I said, Ariel pretty much has to do her thing for the deck to work, but she doesn't have to do the full 12, full 20. She can do 10 to 12, and then we can quest a few with Grammatala, quest a few with Mickey Mouse Detective, have little Pongo here, just go to town, quest, I'm evasive, you can't challenge me, you need removal from me, but you need removal for Ariel, and you need to take out the Ariel first, or maybe we bait it with Pongo, then we play the Ariel, even better. So I really like Pongo in this deck as an extra threat. So Ariel is not the only thing in the deck that can win us the game. Also, having Mulan with some of these cheaper characters like Grammatala and Mickey Mouse can also pay off, because when these cards start questing for 2, they've done a lot of work. And look at that, we're already at 56 cards. So to wrap up the list, let's add a couple of inkable niceties. 1 copy of Coconut Basket. I don't overly like it as an item, but having a few more copies of items in the deck, or maybe just 1, can be helpful. Something that's good to top deck in mid to late game. I don't want too many, so just 1, an option. Our 3-drop list is a little thin, so I'm going to be adding a pair of bells. The Inventive Engineer, because she quests for 2. Again, a bit of a threat in the mid to late game to just get these last extra points of lore to wrap up the game. Also, maybe the extra little discount on ink can help us in a typed spot, only for items. And now we need 1 more card. What do we want? What do we want? This is a nice inclusion. Let's play 1 Donald Duck, strutting his stuff. Not because I plan on inking him 100% of the time, but because he has Ward and Quest for 2, which makes it an almost inevitable quester. Also, with the shield and with LeFou, we can play the little trick where we quest with Donald, we unexert it, and having Ward and being unexerted a chunk of the time makes it very hard to be dealt with, and almost guarantees that 2 point of lore every turn. So he's an optional game ender, very situational, but we're playing one copy of it. We don't want it, we ink it, we top deck it late game, it's fine. And that concludes our list. So we have our combo pieces, we have our ramp, we have our flex pieces, and we have a little bit of combative survivability for the early game, a bit of alternate win conditions, a little bit of everything. After all, we're collecting Who's Its, so the only thing remaining to do is play out the combo and have some fun with some games coming right up. Let's see what we can get. No aerials, bunch of Eyes of the Fates. Bell, Grammatala, Maui. I have a decent curve here. Not a big fan of Bell on 3, but if that's what we have to play. The double Eye of the Fates Pongo can be interesting, so let's keep this. Let's ink our Maui and pass the turn. Opponent's playing Amethyst, color with no removal, I like that. Donald Duck, perfect, turn 2 inkable. As we'll land Grammatala. The questing prodigy that can get turned into ink, and we don't mind. We might actually prefer getting her into ink, as the opponent's playing potentially Hyper Control. A Ruby Amethyst list at the very least. Landing a Magic Mirror. So you need to be careful about Be Prepared. Opponent forgot to end their turn. They'll remember any second now. Any second. This is where we need emotes. We get the turn back. Triple Eye of the Fates is too many, so we're going to send one into the ink. And I guess we'll play Bell here. Why not? She's a 2-quester. That can be helpful here. A little afraid of Rafiki's, but the opponent goes after a 3-drop Maleficent. Okay, and we find an Aerial. Aerial is really nice here. So we'll ink our Pongo. Might as well just quest with both our characters. Rafiki hurts, but maybe our opponent doesn't have it. If our opponent does have it and goes for double trade, we do get the ink back. And then we can set up a Mulan and be ready with a pair of Eye of the Fates and go after the Aerial combo. The Jafar comes in. And the opponent gives us the ink for Grammatala. I'll gladly take that. Ooh, and another item. I like that. Get a clean Mulan here. And I'll just pass the turn back. No reason to overexert ourselves. Just don't shoot the Aerial. Opponent sings Friends on the other side, still 5 ink available. And the Wayward Sorcerer comes in. Wood Broom. The Infinite Brooms are ready. Why do we get to quest for a lot on our turn? So I think we take the shot Mulan here. So Mulan can take out Maleficent, triggering her ability, which means that Ariel can quest for 2. Get to play an Eye of the Fate. Ariel gets to unexert, activate the Eye, giving Ariel one more lore, questing for 3. Belle can quest for 3. And then we can play the Scepter for free to unexert our Ariel. And now, do we quest for 3 with Ariel? I don't think we do. 3 is still quite a bit. We don't have enough ink for the Scepter again. That brings us to 15 with double Eyes of the Fate on the field. Our opponent can wipe our board if we do exert. Otherwise, next turn we quest for 2, we play the Eyes, we can quest for 3. I think that's slightly beneficial. So we just pass the turn. And if we draw into a 1-drop item, we will win the game on the spot. Oh, Ariel. So fun to combo out. So stressful for the opponent. Opponent gets Broom back. We do need our Ariel to stick. Otherwise, we are in quite a bit of trouble. Rooms coming down again. And our opponent is going to out-resource us significantly if the game goes any longer. And we find a 1-drop item. That is beautiful. So, Ariel will quest for 2. Play the Eyes of the Fate. Ariel and exerts. Eyes of the Fate gives 1 more to Ariel. Ariel quests for 3. Magic Golden Flower. Unexerting Ariel. Ariel quests for 3. And we pass the turn back. Is that gonna do it? We're 1 ink away. And our opponent's just we're 1 lore away, and our opponent's only on 6. So there's not going to be Elsa Snow Queen is coming down next turn. Even if the opponent has another Aladdin, then whatever we have with the double Eye of the Fates can quest for 3, which is problematic for our opponent to deal with. And the opponent's going to run out of threats eventually, or removal spells eventually. Another Magic Golden Flower. But we'll just resolve the Grammatala. Pass a turn back. And that's a threatening Grammatala. Opponent goes to quest. I don't think our opponent has the removal. No Dragonfire. Or opponent has to Ursula. Ursula takes out 1 of our lore, but that's not enough. Because we have the Eyes of the Fates, which not only combo with Ariel, but will allow Grammatala to quest for game as we take out the Hyper Control list. Let's see if we can collect some victories, or at least some Who's-Its. We have no Ariel. Fairly well balanced hand otherwise. Maybe we'll send Robin back. The rest seems okay. Grammatala into Pongo into Mulan or Maui seems fine. And we had a second Mulan, which we can send to the ink pool bright and early and pass the turn back to our opponent. Let's see what our opponent is playing. Opponent is playing Wait and See. Going to be able to drop our Grammatala on turn 2. Okay, so Captain Hook in the ink. opponent is playing some steel cards. From here, I think I'm going to ink the Magic Golden Flower, since we don't need it. And there's still no trace of Ariel. But our grandma's going to keep us company until she becomes ink for us to use. She can also be threatening with Mulan in play. Opponent plays their own copy of Grammatala as we find and develop your brain. Alright, well, opponent's playing Steel Sapphire. Don't think we'll need the Maui here. So let's ink Maui. And we can play Develop Your Brain. Alright, and we find an Ariel. That's good. And we might as well quest here. I'd prefer if Grammatala went into the ink. So let's see if our opponent takes the combat or just quests. Opponent takes the trade. They want the ink too. But we'll be the first ones to use it. So I'm good with that exchange. Opponent plays an Aurora. Alright, well here we'll ink the Pongo, since we have a better 4-drop to play, at least for our strategy. Can play Mulan. I think we want to be ink efficient and just go Mulan here. And we'll pass the turn back. It's all about patience, setting up our board state, being careful not to get wiped by these pesky grab your swords. Ariel is also a smash target, and we've seen our opponent ink one smash so far. Actually, there's lots of removal that our opponent can play. Pretty much everything that can take out Ariel. Let it go. Pair grab your sword. Smash. Okay, opponent hard casts the Dreaming Guardian Aurora, which is just a little too big for a Mulan to take out. And we draw a second copy of Ariel. I do want to go with for the double Ariel play, but I think for now, just keeping the board stalled is our best bet. And we get to draw a card with Robin Hood, so we'll go with that route. Making one of our cheap artifacts, giving us enough ink, and this smallest amount of cards in hand, well, one less, fewer than our opponent, which allowed us to draw the card. Tinkerbell. Ringing the Pain. Alright. Well, that was when we start having fun. 8 ink is quite interesting here, because it allows us to play the double Eye of the Fates in one turn. So I think we ink the Robin and start going after our combo here. Play an Ariel, pass the turn away. As long as the opponent doesn't wipe our board or kills off all our Ariels with Grab Your Sword and Tinkerbell or Triple Tinkerbell, we should be in a good shape. And if our opponent does that, then we are in terrible shape, like what just happened. Steel is just such a strong ink with all of these damaging spells. And that puts us in a bad spot. We can still try to go off pretty hard with Ariel. Especially with 3 items in the hand. 2 of which being Eye of the Fates. If we find an inkable card, we can go Eye of the Fates. Oh, and with Mulan on the battlefield, maybe our opponent's going to give us an opportunity. But we really need the opponent to run out of removal. Because if there's a smash on Ariel, I think that's lights out. Or a Hades. Or a Let It Go. This really is not our strongest matchup. Alright, Maui. I need to count here. So we can go Mulan takes out Small Aurora. Ariel can quest for 2. We quest for 2, we play Eye of the Fates. Ariel can quest for 3. We play a second Eye of the Fates. Ariel can quest for 4. That's a lot of questing. But then we lose Ariel. And it's pretty much over. Shall we gamble just drawing an Inkable? Or we can also go Shield of Virtue. I think I like that line. So, Mulan will challenge Aurora to boost Ariel. Thanks to her ability, Ariel now quests for 2, so we'll take her 2. Play the Eye of the Fates. Ariel unexerts. Activate the Eye of the Fates to give Ariel +1 lore. The Fate's pretty cool for that. We then quest for 3. We can play Shield of Virtue, which unexerts our Ariel, allowing us to quest once again. Bringing us to 9. And then we can activate the Shield of Virtue to protect our Ariel. And she can't quest anymore, so we just pass the turn back. It's a lot of questing. And we still have a full health, unexerted Ariel in play. Opponent removes Ariel, and that is pretty much lights out. Unfortunately. Because next turn we could quest for 2, play the Eye of Fates, give 1 more to Ariel, unexert her, quest for 3, and then use the shield. It would have been pretty close otherwise. With just the Mulan, there is no way out. Too many of our Ariels and Mulans have been removed, and so we'll have to concede the game. We got close. If the opponent didn't have that 25th piece of removal, we might have done it. I hope that you've enjoyed this combo Ariel video featuring the Queen of Whoozits, the Collector of Whoozits, Ariel, and the friendly artifacts and extra bonus questers like Mulan. It's a blast to play, very stressful when your opponent has removal spells and you're kind of praying a lot of time, don't take out my Ariel, don't take out my Ariel, and when she lives, that's when the magic happens. And when she gets taken out, well, maybe you have another Ariel, maybe you have multiple Ariels. It's a lot of fun to play. It's a lot of triggers. You get that turn where you sequence everything. You can see it coming, and then you're like, yes, this is awesome, and then your opponent blows away your board. But it's really fun. I hope that you've enjoyed the videos. Thanks a lot for watching, and let me know what you'd like to see next in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, leave a comment, then like the video. No, don't like the video again. I think it removes the like. But add a second comment and let me know what you think, so that we can keep on having discussions. Lots of fun having discussions with the viewers on the channel. Again, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I've had a great time filming it, and I'll see you next time.